Melatonin versus coffee. Who wins the nighttime battle? Upbeat, rhythmic, almost like a boxing announcer's intro. In this corner, weighing in as the undisputed champion of morning rituals, the fuel for late-night study sessions, the most popular psychoactive drug on the entire planet. Coffee. And in this corner, the challenger. The body's own champion of rest, the whisper of darkness, the hormonal heavy hitter that signals the end of the day. Melatonin. Tonight, we're staging the ultimate physiological showdown. This is a battle that takes place inside billions of people every single night. It is the late-night war between the world's favorite stimulant and your body's fundamental sleep signal. We're going to explore the science behind this nightly conflict, round by round, to find out which one truly dictates your sleep schedule. By the end, you want to just know who wins. You will know exactly how to take control of the fight for the best sleep of your life. What if I told you that the coffee you drank at lunchtime is still fighting a war in your brain when you're trying to sleep? We all want a great night's rest, but so many of us are unknowingly forcing a battle between our biology and our habits. We're pitting the get-up-and-go of caffeine against the slow-down and rest of melatonin. So, when these two go head-to-head in your body, who actually wins? The answer is more complex and surprising than you'd think, and it has huge implications for your energy, your health, and your performance. Stick around, because we're about to declare a winner. Section 1. Meet the contenders, the tale of the tape. Before the first bell rings, let's get to know our fighters. These two molecules are titans, each with a powerful influence over you, but they play for completely opposite teams. First, let's talk about the reigning champion of wakefulness, caffeine. Caffeine is a natural stimulant found in things like coffee beans, tea leaves, and cocoa. It's the world's most widely consumed psychoactive drug, and for good reason. It makes us feel alert, focused, and ready to go. But how does it actually work? To understand caffeine, you first have to understand its arch-nemesis, a chemical called adenosine. Think of adenosine as your body's sleep pressure gauge. From the moment you wake up, adenosine slowly builds up in your brain. The longer you're awake, the more it accumulates, and the higher that sleep pressure gets. This is what makes you feel progressively sleepier as the day goes on. Adenosine binds to specific receptors in your brain, and when it does, it slows down your brain activity, making you feel drowsy. Now enter caffeine. On a molecular level, caffeine looks a whole lot like adenosine. It's so similar that it can slide right into the adenosine receptors, like a car stealing a parking spot. But instead of activating them and making you sleepy, caffeine just sits there and blocks them. It's like putting tape over a keyhole. Adenosine can't get in to do its job, so the sleepiness signal gets muted. Your brain is essentially tricked into thinking it's not tired. But here's the catch. While caffeine is blocking those receptors, adenosine doesn't just go away. It keeps building up in the background. This is what leads to the infamous caffeine crash. When the caffeine finally wears off, all that pent-up adenosine comes rushing back to the receptors, and you get hit with a massive wave of exhaustion. The other critical fact about caffeine is how long it sticks around. Caffeine has a half-life, which is the time it takes your body to get rid of half the dose you consumed. For most adults, that's about 5 to 6 hours. This means if you have a coffee at 2 p.m., half of that caffeine is still circulating in your system at 7 or 8 p.m. But it doesn't stop there. It also has a quarter life of about 10 to 12 hours. So that 2 p.m. coffee means a quarter of the caffeine could still be active in your brain when you trying to sleep at midnight. As sleep scientist Matthew Walker puts it, that's like getting into bed and chugging a quarter of a cup of coffee right before turning out the lights. And this varies wildly, with the half-life ranging from 2 to 12 hours depending on your age, genetics, and how your liver works. So, that's our first contender. A master of disguise that blocks your natural sleep signals and overstays its welcome. Now let's turn to the challenger. Melatonin, the hormone of darkness. Unlike caffeine, which we put into our bodies, Melatonin is something our bodies produce all on their own. It's a hormone made by the pineal gland, a tiny pine cone-shaped structure deep in the center of your brain. Melatonin's main job is to regulate your circadian rhythm, your internal 24-hour body clock that runs your sleep-wake cycle. People often mistake melatonin for a sedative, like a sleeping pill that just knocks you out. That's not quite right. It's more like the official firing the starting pistol for the sleep race. Its role is to signal to your entire body that it's nighttime and time to prepare for rest. Here's how it works. Your brain has a master clock that responds to light and dark. During the day, when light hits your eyes, it sends a signal to stop producing melatonin. But as evening approaches and the light fades, the signal flips, and the pineal gland begins to release melatonin into your bloodstream. This nightly rise in melatonin is what helps open the sleep gate. It tells your brain and body to wind down. Your core temperature drops, your blood pressure lowers, and you start to feel less alert and more ready for sleep. Melatonin basically gets your body's entire orchestra on the same nighttime sheet music. It isn't a brute force sleep inducer. It's a finely tuned, powerful signaling molecule that orchestrates the graceful transition into sleep. It's the natural, biological cue for rest. Now that we know our contenders, the stage is set. In one corner, the artificial alertness of caffeine, a chemical blocker that masks fatigue. In the other, the biological rhythm of melatonin, the body's natural conductor of sleep. Let the battle begin. Section 2, Round 1, the brain's clock. The first round is a fight for control over your master timekeeper, the circadian rhythm. This is the fundamental biological rhythm that decides when you feel awake and when you feel sleepy. Melatonin is its trusted messenger. But what happens when caffeine storms the command center? The science on this is crystal clear. Evening caffeine wages a direct assault on your internal clock. A major study in Science Translational Medicine showed that taking caffeine equivalent to a double espresso 3 hours before bed delayed the body's natural melatonin rhythm by about 40 minutes. Let's break that down. Your body has a schedule. Every evening, around the same time, your pineal gland starts releasing melatonin, signaling that it's time to get sleepy. But when you throw caffeine into the mix late in the day, you effectively push that entire schedule back. Your body's signal to wind down is postponed. It's like telling your brain that sunset is happening almost an hour later than it actually is. And a 40-minute delay isn't trivial. The study found this was nearly half the impact of being exposed to 3 hours of bright light, which is one of the most powerful ways to shift our internal clock. So that one evening, coffee has a biological impact similar to sitting under bright lights for an hour and a half. How does caffeine pull this off? While its main job is blocking adenosine, this has downstream effects. We now know that caffeine can directly reduce melatonin secretion. By keeping the nervous system on high alert, it messes with the time for darkness signal the brain is supposed to be getting. Melatonin, on the other hand, is the clock. Its very purpose is to reinforce and stabilize your circadian rhythm. The nightly pulse of melatonin is what keeps your 24-hour cycle locked in. This is why taking a melatonin supplement can be a powerful chronobiotic, an agent that can shift your clock to help with things like jet lag. So in this round, we have a clear aggressor and a clear defender. Caffeine actively works to disrupt and delay the body's master clock. It throws the schedule into disarray by suppressing the very hormone that sets the timing. Verdict for round 1. This is a decisive win for caffeine in its power to disrupt. While melatonin is the rightful keeper of the clock, caffeine is the belligerent intruder that can successfully sabotage its timing, pushing your biological bedtime later, whether you want it to or not. Caffeine wins the battle, but your sleep loses the war. Section 3. Round 2. The fight to fall asleep. The clock has been tampered with and your melatonin surge is late, but the battle isn't over. Now it's time for the main event, actually falling asleep. This round is all about sleep latency. the fancy term for how long it takes you to go from lights out to completely out. This is where caffeine's main trick really shines in its disruptive power. Remember, it's an adenosine receptor antagonist. It blocks the sleep pressure signal. Even if it's way past your bedtime and you feel exhausted, if there's enough caffeine occupying those receptors, your brain is getting a constant stay awake message. It creates that frustrating state many of us know all too well. Tired but wired. Your body is begging for rest, but your brain just won't shut off. The scientific evidence here is overwhelming. Study after study has shown that caffeine, especially in the hours before bed, makes it significantly harder to fall asleep. One of the most cited studies looked at what happened when people took 400 milliliters of caffeine, about 2 or 3 cups of coffee, at 0, 3, and even 6 hours before bedtime. The results were stark. Caffeine had significant disruptive effects at all 3 times. Even when taken a full 6 hours before bed, people took longer to fall asleep and spent more time awake during the night. This is a critical point. A lot of people think a late afternoon coffee at 4 p.m. won't affect their 10 p.m. bedtime. But this study shows it absolutely does. You might not feel the buzz anymore, but the caffeine is still chemically active in your brain. Now, let's look at melatonin. Its function here is the exact opposite. The natural rise of melatonin is precisely what helps you transition to sleep. It's the signal that helps your brain and body disengage from the day. It has a hypnotic function, making it easier to drift off. This is why melatonin supplements can help people who have trouble falling asleep. The supplement gives your body an extra push of the "it's nighttime" hormone, helping to shorten the time it takes to doze off. So what happens if you have a coffee at 6 p.m. and then take a melatonin pill at 10 p.m.? Do they cancel each other out? Not really. You're creating a biological tug-of-war. It's like driving with one foot on the gas, caffeine, and one on the brake, melatonin. While the melatonin might make you feel a little sleepier, the caffeine is still actively preventing your brain from fully disengaging. You might eventually fall asleep from sheer exhaustion, but it won't be a smooth ride. Verdict for round 2. Melatonin is the clear champion of starting the sleep process. It's the natural biological way to get you to sleep. Caffeine is purely a disruptor. In a direct fight, caffeine's brute force ability to keep you awake often overpowers melatonin's gentle suggestion to sleep. Section 4. Round 3. The quality of sleep. Let's say you finally managed to fall asleep, despite the caffeine still in your system. The battle's over, right? Not even close. Now the fight moves from the world you can see into the invisible, crucial architecture of your sleep. This round is all about sleep quality. Sleep isn't just an on-off switch. It's a complex cycle through different stages, from lighter sleep to deep, physically restorative, slow-wave sleep, SWS, and then into mentally restorative, rapid-eye movement, REM sleep. All of these stages are vital. Deep sleep is essential for immune function and flushing toxins from the brain, while REM sleep is critical for memory and emotional regulation. This is where caffeine does its most sneaky damage. Even if you fall asleep and stay asleep, caffeine decimates the quality of your deep sleep. Famed sleep researcher Matthew Walker has shown that evening caffeine can reduce your deep sleep by 15–20%. To put that in perspective, he makes the comparison that you would normally have to age by about 15 years to naturally lose that same amount of deep sleep. And the scariest part? You're often completely unaware of it. People will say, "I can have an espresso after dinner and sleep just fine." Subjectively, they feel like they slept, but objective measurements show their sleep is far from fine. It's more fragmented, and the most restorative stages are significantly reduced. They wake up the next morning feeling unrefreshed, not realizing the culprit was the coffee from hours before. This creates a vicious cycle. You wake up tired because caffeine wrecked your deep sleep, so you reach for more caffeine to get through the day, which then ruins the next night's sleep. Melatonin's role here is all about stability. A healthy melatonin signal helps consolidate sleep, keeping it from becoming fragmented and allowing for smooth transitions through the sleep stages. A properly timed circadian rhythm, orchestrated by melatonin, is the foundation for good sleep architecture. Verdict for round 3. This is a knockout blow from caffeine, but not in a good way. It utterly destroys sleep quality. Melatonin, by promoting a stable rhythm, is the defender of good sleep. So while caffeine wins by causing the most damage, the true winner for your health is clearly melatonin, which creates the conditions for high-quality, restorative rest. Section 5. The final verdict and actionable advice. The final bell has rung. We've seen our contenders clash across 3 critical rounds: the brain's clock, the fight to fall asleep, and the quality of sleep. Let's recap the scorecard. In round 1, caffeine landed a heavy blow, successfully delaying the body's master clock. In round 2, caffeine continued its assault, making it much harder to fall asleep. And in round 3, caffeine delivered its most damaging attack, silently wrecking the quality of our deep sleep. So, in the nightly battle between melatonin and coffee, who wins? If the question is, which one has a more powerful, disruptive effect on sleep? The winner, hands down, is caffeine. Its long-lasting presence and multiple ways of messing with your sleep make it a formidable opponent to a good night's rest. But if the question is, who should win for you to get a healthy, restorative night? The champion is, and always will be, melatonin. Melatonin isn't a fighter, it's a conductor. It's your body's brilliant, essential, and elegant solution for orchestrating the symphony of sleep. The real takeaway is this: you are the referee. You decide the outcome every single day. You can let caffeine run wild and destroy your sleep, or you can create the conditions for melatonin to do its job. Here is your playbook to rig the fight in favor of good sleep. Set a strict caffeine curfew. This is the most important rule. Based on the science, a solid rule of thumb is to stop all caffeine intake by 2 p.m., or at least 8-10 hours before your bedtime. Neuroscientist Andrew Huberman suggests trying to delay your morning caffeine for 90 to 120 minutes after waking to help prevent the afternoon crash. A hard stop in the early afternoon ensures most of the caffeine is gone by the time your brain needs to wind down. Know your dose. Be mindful of how much caffeine you're actually consuming. The recommended daily maximum is around 400 milligrams, which is about 2 to 3 standard cups of coffee. Remember to account for hidden caffeine in tea, soda, chocolate, and even some medications. Master your light exposure. Light is the most powerful signal for your circadian rhythm. To support natural melatonin production, try to get 5 to 10 minutes of sunlight within an hour of waking. This helps set your internal clock for a healthy melatonin release about 16 hours later. Then, in the evening, do the opposite. Dim the lights in your home and avoid bright screens for 1-2 hours before bed. This prevents light from suppressing your natural melatonin release. Use melatonin supplements wisely, if at all. Melatonin isn't just a sleeping pill, it's a clock shifter.